Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the MuseHifi M5 Ultra, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank HifiGo for sending over the MuseHifi M5 Ultra for review. To greatly appreciate it. HifiGo, you rock. Alright, so the MuseHifi M5 Ultra. This is a portable Bluetooth USB DAC amp with transistor and vacuum tube amplification modes. The M5 Ultra will set you back $300 from your bank account, and it has some very interesting technology on the inside of it. It uses American Raytheon JAN6418 military grade miniature direct heated pentatode NOS vacuum tubes. There's two of them in there, and you can see them lighting up the device, which is really cool. And it also uses a custom 6418 variant ES9038Q2M DAC chip. It also has Qualcomm QCC5125 Bluetooth connectivity. It allows LDAC and aptX adaptive, and has all sorts of other technology on the inside. But the interesting thing about it is that it has the Raytheon JAN6418 tube, which is not something that you normally see along with Bluetooth devices because of radio interference. And so MuseHifi and ESS all work together and implements a some sort of technology to help overcome that interference so that the JAN6418 tubes and Bluetooth signals work together, and you're able to listen to music and make phone calls and all that while in vacuum tube mode, along with the Bluetooth being used. It's really cool technology. Has electron tube shock absorber technology, a digital audio purification circuit with dual implemented crystal oscillators, and as I mentioned, that customized ES9038 chipset that was crafted independently for the 6418 tubes. It has 3 gain modes. It also has 7 digital filters, dual headphone outputs with 3.5 and 4.4, and it also has a 3000 milliamp battery in it, which will give you about 10 hours of listening, and does support fast charging, QC 4.0 and PD fast charge, and you can listen to music and charge it at the same time. There's other things about it, so I'm going to put a link down in the description somewhere here on the screen, and you can look it all up for yourselves. But before we get into all of the build quality and all the how it sounds and that type of stuff, let's take a look at what all is included in the package. Okay, so MuseHifi will include a big piece of paper here, and it has all kinds of information regarding the M5 Ultra, how it was designed, and all the various things about it. It's got all kinds of pictures to keep you interested, and very little writing, which is nice. Very easily laid out, and just talks about the tube itself and all the abilities and how it differs from some of the other products that are available that do have this tube. And yeah, so it's actually a nice little write-up. And then you get a black box that says MuseHifi M5 Ultra. On the back side here, it lists the specs, really hard to read. And then when you lift it up, you get a little saying that says, everyone who chooses a JAN6418, they all have a heart that loves pure music. I do want to note here, though, there is a typo. They put 6481 instead of 6418. Anyways, lifting this up, you're going to be able to see your M5 Ultra. And it says over here JAN6418, and then 1974. And then because this is a special edition one, It has the channel name, the Honest Audiophile, and the model name. Taking out the device, we'll talk about the build of the device here in a moment. Pulling out the bottom, you have a little tray, which gives you some other accessories. You get two different cables. You get a short cable for USB-C to Lightning. I did not use that cable, but I did use the other cable, which is USB-C to USB-C. Both cables feel very same and look very similar. They're a little bit on the stiff side and they're a little bit short. The connections are a little bit on the chunky side, and so it can cause problems with the way it lays sometimes. But other than that, it's a nice cable. I like the build of it and the feel of it. And then you get a USB to USB-C adapter. And then in this other box, you get a longer cable. And this is USB to USB-C. Rubber, kind of a little bit on the kinky side, but it's not bad. If you need the longer cable, it does work. And of course, you could always connect a cable to take it down to USB-C from USB if you need to. And then you also get this very nice carrying case, protective carrying case, which is made of leather. And it does say MuseHifi M5 Ultra on it. And it has all the different cutouts for the device. Let's set this to the side. So if you take your M5 Ultra, there you go. You got an area for the tubes to show off, and then you have access to all your controls and plenty of room for your USB-C inputs and your 3.5 and 4.4 output. And then up on top here you have the Honest Audiophile and MuseHifi M5 Ultra. I didn't really use that case, not that it wasn't nice or felt good or anything like that. I just like the look and the feel of the Ultra itself. And I thought that the M5 Ultra is a very nice looking device. On the front here you have a display which you can turn on or off just by tapping the power button. Also, that power button locks all the other buttons, which is a nice feature. As you can see all the way on the inside, you can see those tubes just glaring away. It's a really, really cool little device. Up top, it tells you your different mode that you are in. It also will tell you what filter you're using and what gain setting you have, and also what your bit rate is of your music that it is connected to. To change your mode from a vacuum tube to transistor, you just press the mode button, which is the one in the middle here, and it'll start flashing up top your different options that you can choose to change, and you just keep tapping it until you get to the one that you want. Go up or down on the button, it'll select, and then hit the mode button again, and as you can see, the tubes turned off, and now you are in transistor mode. And you can do this on the fly. There is a slight pause as it changes over. Now the buttons are very straightforward. You have your power button, which also turns on and locks the keys. And then you have your plus or minus volume button. And then you have your mode button, which will filter through so you can change if you want to be on Bluetooth or through USB. If you want to change your gain settings, and to change everything, you just use the selector buttons down here. change your filters, or change it to vacuum or transistor mode. So that's your mode button, and then you have your forward and back buttons for music play, and it does work with Android. And then also if you want to change your modes, just cycle through them. Very, very straightforward as to how the buttons work. Now let's go back here and get it selected on there. And you can see that the tubes start to activate as soon as you press the button. On the bottom, you have two USB inputs. You have USB for data and USB for charging. If you put your USB in the charging one, you will not hear music. You do have to have it in the one for data. The nice thing about the M5 Ultra is that you can have it charging and listening to music at the same time. You can only take phone calls and talk through Bluetooth mode. I was not able to get it to work with USB mode. And then you have your 4.4 and 3.5 outputs. This does not have any line out or anything of that sort. It's just headphone output. Because I didn't really put this in my pocket or anything like that, I always just left the screen on. I found that having the screen on didn't really draw any more battery life at all. I think the only real true thing that turning the screen on or off is that it locks these buttons. So if you're going to be bumping your buttons against something, you might want to do that. But I find that the buttons aren't super sensitive to touch. I didn't have any issues with it just sitting on a desk or next to me. Now, if I did move around, I always did lock it, but I didn't do that very often at all. The M5 Ultra connects to pretty much anything, PC or laptops, or to phones. And since my phone, which is a Samsung S24 Ultra, doesn't have a headphone output, I do have to use it with some sort of amplification source. And I found that the MuseHifi M5 Ultra was just plug and play. Same thing with my computer. Just plugged it into USB-C and I was listening to music very easily. When it came to the Bluetooth, it connected very well. I had no issues with different sources finding it and remembering it. And it's a fairly quick connection if you turn it off and come back to it later on from Bluetooth. Or if you change it on the fly from Bluetooth to USB-C, it remembers it takes about 10 seconds to connect on Bluetooth. I had no issues there. One thing of note, the Bluetooth didn't seem to be the strongest in reception. So if I had them in close proximity to each other, it was no problems. But if I had it somewhere where I had to walk and there was a wall and interference or didn't have a direct line of sight, it kind of took a little moment. It would skip for a few moments and then it would catch up and it would connect again. Also, I found that sometimes if there was a lot of moving around, even though I was within about 30 feet of it, it still was a little bit iffy and didn't always stay connected. So it's not the strongest of Bluetooth connection. But because I don't use Bluetooth that much, and normally when I'm using a Bluetooth device, I'll have my phone in one pocket and this and something else in another pocket right next to me. So I was pretty stable. But if you're going to be separated quite a bit from the devices, do keep note that it is a little bit finicky and a little iffy on connection. The build of this thing is fantastic. I love that it has a stainless steel build. It's got a little bit darker of a gray color. And then you can see the internals. It would have been cool if the bezels were a little bit smaller, so you could see more of the board. And that you could see more of the tubes. Because at certain angles you can see both tubes in there. But when you're looking at it straight on, you can only really see 1.5 of the tube. So it would have been cool if you could see both. And then on the sides here with that vent you can see in, that's really, really cool. And if you get this in the dark, it really is awesome. The board kind of gets this orange glow over it. And it's kind of hard to show with all these camera lights and stuff on. But with the lights down dim, it is a really cool looking device. And then you have the glass back. It is pretty glossy. You are going to see everything reflecting. And overall, I think it's a fantastic little device, build-wise, look-wise. And the accessories that MuseHifi provides are enough to get you up and going and listening to music in no time. How does it sound? So the MuseHifi M5 Ultra, with its 2 different modes, it offers an experience that I really haven't experienced with any other portable DAC amps. Most of the other portable, in fact, all of the portable DAC amps that I've heard have been transistor mode. They have not had tubes in them. And so the going from transistor mode, going straight out from the Sabre and 9038Q2M, it's a very clean, very clear, and very distinct sound. And it is a very neutral sound. There's nice crispness, there's nice authority in the sound, and it's a very detailed and resolving. And overall, it's going to give you exactly what the music should sound like. It's not going to add any colorization, and it's neutral with just enough body and note weight to sound natural and accurate. But at the same time, it doesn't have that like emotional connection. You're kind of missing a little bit. The bass hits hard. It has the nice authority. It goes into the sub bass. You get rumble and grumble when called upon. Mid bass has the impact and the slam. And the upper bass is well controlled, guiding in the impact and the slam. When called upon, doesn't bleed into the mids. The mids are very even, very balanced, cohesive, and have that crispness and that openness and that space. But yeah, at the same time, it's kind of just there presenting. It's not connecting you with the emotions. And then the treble, airy, crispy, sparkly, energetic, not too much so it's fatiguing, but yet not enough so it's boring. It has just the right amount. Soundstage is good, nice and wide, good depth, nice layering. Imaging is spot on, and it tracks everything across the stage. Tone and timbre, very natural and accurate sounding, and the detail retrieval and resolution is phenomenal. I have no complaints whatsoever about the M5 Ultra when it comes to being on transistor mode. But when you turn it on to the tubes, a switch happens and it is noticeable. So there's a little bit more body, a little bit more lushness, some warmth to things, and it still retains all that detail, all that resolution, all the good tone and timbre. But what it does is it adds in a euphoric and emotional connection, and you get some joy, you get some pleasure, and you get a smile on your face. And the tubes just add in this little extra sauce, and overall it just becomes this blessing of goodness. It's just like this warm feeling of contentment comes over you, and it's not all thick and lush and warm ooey gooey. It's a more of a comfort and an emotion that gives you an attention to detail at the same time. It's, you know, you're in the right spot. That's the way it makes you feel. And I love both aspects of it. And I like that I can nitpick my music, or I can enjoy my music and nitpick it at the same time. Then the power capabilities. I was not able to find out how much power this thing has, but I'll tell you, everything back here, it gets loud. Now, does it drive all of them to their best of their abilities? No. So some of the planar headphones, some of the dynamics that are a little bit harder to drive, it'll get loud, but you can tell that it's not quite getting to the same level as a desktop amplifier. Or it's not getting quite as loud and quite as full and quite to its capabilities like some of the more powerful DAPs are. Things like that. But it is significantly more than most dongles when it comes to over-ear headphones. And when it comes to IEMs, there was not a single IEM that I had any issues with getting loud and sounding proper. Whether it was a really hard to drive planar IEM or if it was a super sensitive IEM. The gain modes worked very well, and I did not get any hissing. I did not get any of the normal distortions and things like that that you can get from some of the super sensitive IEMs when it is being driven with the wrong impedance. I had no problems whatsoever in those regards. So it plays very well with all IEMs, and it plays well with most headphones. I was rather impressed at the power abilities of the MuseHifi M5 Ultra. So I don't have anything really to compare it to. Some of the other portable DAC amps that I've heard are double the cost of this $300 M5 Ultra, and none of them have tubes in them, and they were all quite good, but there's just something about the M5 Ultra that draws me back to it. I truly enjoy using it with everything. Now, HifiGo also sent me something else. I do not believe that you'll be able to get this, but I wanted to show it off because I thought it was really cool. So it's this little display about the JAN6418. And it lights up. Now, it's going to be really hard to see what it says on camera, but I just thought that was really cool. And you can see the tube. That's what the Raytheon JAN6418 looks like. It's not a very big tube at all, very small. It says on here that it's the MuseHifi M5 Ultra, JAN6418, circuit 1974 to 2024, so it's been 50 years. Says the American Raytheon JAN6418 is a direct heated micro pentode initially used for handheld wireless signal amplification for military intercoms, but today we have specially designed multiple patents such as shock absorbing equipment for it so that it can overcome many problems such as signal interference. It appeared in Bluetooth portable decoder amps for the first time in the world. So that's a really, really cool little display. Runs on battery, can be charged. It's just a little stand with some LED lights on the bottom. And a big old piece of acrylic here holding it in. So that's a cool little thing. Anyways, appreciate HifiGo sending that over. That's kind of cool. And something different. But anyways, MuseHifi M5 Ultra. Very well built, small, doesn't take up much room in the hand. Has all kinds of nice features with a screen that you can turn off, buttons that you can lock, and you can change it from tubes to transistors on the fly while you're listening. You can charge it and listen to music at the same time. You can use it in vacuum tube mode and make phone calls on Bluetooth. And you can change all the filters, which I didn't really discuss because I really didn't hear many differences. And truthfully, it was more about the differences between the transistor and the tube sound. And it can be charged up really fast. And it has different gain modes, and 4.4 balance, 3.5 output, depending on whatever need you have. And it looks really, really cool. You can see all of that board. So yeah, I like this, and I highly recommend it. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information down there regarding how you can contact channel, follow channel, support channel. Speaking of supporting channel, I want to thank my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you very much for all that you provide to the channel. Also, I want to thank all of you who give one-time gifts, and it is much appreciated. Also, if you're interested in supporting the channel, various ways that you can do that through one-time gifts with PayPal, Venmo, and YouTube options, and then also monthly subscriptions with Patreon and YouTube memberships. With Patreon and YouTube memberships, you can get different benefits like access to my private Discord server and other benefits that just randomly pop up. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, it would be greatly appreciated no matter which way you do it, one-time gifts or monthly subscriptions. Also listed down below, there's all kinds of other information regarding how you can check out my gear recommendations and music recommendations and gear rankings and all kinds of other things listed down below. So don't forget to check those off. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.